Hey everyone, so a lot of people requested me to do a video tutorial on how I did this scene. So I prepared a little presentation to show the various steps that I took from the start and not only the Houdini scene. So first thing first, you need to find the reference. So you have to have in your mind what you want to achieve, right? So in my case, I wanted to do a flip simulation, a river. So I went on Vimeo, I started to look for references, and I found out this documentary. And there was this scene which was pretty amazing for the mood, for the fog, for the river itself, the reflections, the rocks, and I love doing snow CG. So I picked this one, and that was my main references. So second step was to set the base of the scene, right? So I went into Houdini. Uh, the scene initially was empty, and I created this very proxy geometry. I set the camera, so I believe is this. So that's the camera, right? I set the camera. I created this grid, and just with some grouping, some deformation, deformed it, just to have a basic idea of how close it was to the geometry, where was the camera, where was the horizon, right? To have everything in my mind since the start, since I know that closer to the camera, I need to have more details. Far away, I don't care that much. I can do it also in comp. So that's very important. Then the other step is to start building. So I went in, I started to think like, what do I need to create this? I need, of course, the flip simulation. I need the rocks. I need the trees, the snow. These are the main elements, right? So I start building the setup for the rock generator first, which you can find for free, I think, on my Gumroad. Um, so this is from a sphere, some remeshing. I'm not going through all of the steps because it's quite heavy, but the idea is I'm oppressing. Let me. So here I have a scene. I have a sphere. I'm applying some noise. Then I'm fixing the intersection with this little HDA that I've created. Then I'm remeshing to bring even more polygons inside. Apply some noise. Clean up. Fixing the intersection again. This time through VDBs because after a while with just geometry it's not that easy to find the intersection and fixing them and creating the material. And then I'm creating some LODs, right? Based on the distance. High LODs are going to be close to the camera, and far away is going to be like low resolution geometries. The other element that I need, of course, is the river bed, which is the base of the scene. So, uh, so for this one, I add an egg field, bringing step too many steps. So hate field here. I'm not sure how it translates to this. To be honest, I think something broke here. But anyway, here I'm painting um, the riverbed based on the geometry that I showed to you before, the proxy geometry. Here's some noise, deforming it. Here's just one details, right? Through the 8 fields, which is very cheap. Okay. So here, let me show it to you. I'm scattering the rocks. So as you can see here, through the rock generator I showed before, I imported the various rocks. I have 10, I think, or something like that. I assigned some IDs, and here I have an LOD control. So if I want to work faster, I set LOD to 2. If I want to render, I set it to 0, so to have the best resolution possible. In this case, I'm creating the scene, right? So I keep the low LOD. So I'm scattering it. I'm scattering the main rocks first, and then the small ones. And the very cool thing about this scatter is that uh, it looks for other rocks. So if I have a big rock here, it's not going to scatter a small one inside. It's going to scatter it on the edge of it, or it tries at least to keep the distance between them. So here is the scatter, and these are the main rocks that I had placed. I can't show it to you, but yeah, I placed them in the middle of the river. These are like hand places just for some art direction. So this is the riverbed converted to geometry. And here I'm creating some proxy geometry for the big rocks, and I've done it inside a loop because otherwise it was pretty heavy. But if you do it in a loop, you're going to convert all the rocks to their own VDB, and then you merge them later on all together. You convert them to geometry, and you have this. So this is just to save memory when you simulate, and also have some clean geometry. And same for the smaller rocks. So I have this right. Uh, Here I'm deleting what's below the surface, and this is for creating the snow. Sure, yeah. So basically, uh, the riverbed here. Okay. So this is the snow on the edges, right? Where we don't need details. I just basically using the hay field, the other hay field, the original one. I created some noise. I extruded it up a little, and we have this space. This is going to be our snow. This one, I transferred an attribute like how close or how much is inside the riverbed, because here there is going to be water, so we don't want the snow. So deleted it, and now we know the rocks where we want to scatter the snow. So here is everything. Here some art direction too. Set the places where I want to transform it. You see? Yeah, I'm creating a little hill, and I'm doing everything through this and with the reference set as background. Okay. Here I'm looking for the snow close to the rocks. You can't see much, but like in the reference, but usually, um, when you're close to an object, the snow is not to scatter as much close to it, right? It depends from the wind and a couple of other factors. It depends like how recent is the snow, but it's going to melt first close to objects that maybe are going to be heated by the sun, so they are hotter than the surface itself. I've done this in 2 years ago, so I'm not okay. Here I'm creating the two main snow surfaces, and on this one, I think I'm doing yeah of the part above the rocks. So with the different particles, and merging the two, and I have the snow mesh. On this side, I'm creating some extra snow, which is going to be higher details and is going to be rendered as points with a shader that I've built to create like the snow. I think it works really great. It's like a mix. It's kind of the white water material. It's just with some additional controls, and it works really great if you want to render the snowest points. Something else that we need are the trees, right? So uh, I downloaded the trees from this link. I believe at the time they were free. I believe now they are one couple of dollars, but it's really worth it. They're really great models. Um, all I did was taking the surface, decide. Let me show it to you. Yeah, basically took an A field here, another here, and they scattered the trees on top. Very, very easy. Same method as before, with some noise. So, so now we've set the base of the scene. We started to build it, and now what I usually do, I speed run to the end. So there are several reasons of this, right? Uh, One is that we want to set the mood, right? We want to see what we can achieve in 3D and what we can do in comp. If we now start to build blindly the 3D scene with all the details, and at the end we see that it doesn't work really well, or that we can get better result just doing it in comp, why we should waste time, right? Also, something that is really important is that when you work on personal projects, you don't have a farm just to render your stuff, right? You're rendering it in your machine, so it's really important to save time, just to save render time. So in this case, for example, I noticed that in comp, so I have a static scene in reality in my render, right? I have did some movement in post in Nuke. I noticed that I can render one single frame of the environment, and I just need to render the sequence for the flip simulation. So it saved me a lot of time, especially because the snow is quite heavy to render. It's not very fast. Yeah, also another thing that I noticed, I did a quick test in comp, and I saw that all these rocks, all these details are not really easy to get them in 3D and to be very realistic, right? Because you need a lot of stuff, a lot of details, a lot of geometries, and why waste time if you don't need to show it off? Because being an effects artist, I just need to show the flip simulation, right? And to have some nice looking snow over there. So all of these, I decided to make it in comp, right? And it looks nice. Same also for this. Why waste time to generate all these branches to make it look realistic, to do the shading, if you can compete later? And these add a lot of realism. A lot of people came to me asking like, "Oh, but is all 3D, or is it done in comp?" So they weren't even sure. So I would say like if you are doing your personal projects, this is a very important step. So just speed run to the end. Build a basic flip simulation. Doesn't matter if it look realistic or not. Like then go to the renders fast as possible, and then see how it looks in comp, see how it looks in motion. And in this case, I would like just do a quick slap comp. Also in Nuke, just put down some merge, try to play around with the grading. That's it. Then I would go back to Houdini and do the actual sim. So in this case, the base setup was done following the tutorial from Steven Nipping and then adding my own things. Here we are preparing for a low resolution simulation. Let it load 1 second. So a box, right? Convert it to VDB, and with VDB combine, I'm subtracting the collision riverbed plus rocks, and we get this, which is converted to particles, and then feed it into the simulation. The sim happen, and then we are loading the last frame of the low resolution proxy version of the river and feeding it here. So now, as first frame of the high resolution flip simulation, we have an already established river flow. So we don't have many issues like, or better say, we don't need a huge pre-roll to get the flip going. So for the flip sim, as proxy geometry, as collision geometry, I'm using this one. So it's basically the riverbed, the rocks, plus these on the sides, just to avoid some spill out artifacts and things like that, which didn't happen, but you never know, just to be sure. Also, something that I believe is quite useful is that in the middle of the riverbed, I draw a line. You can see it here. Resampled it, calculated the normals. You see small ones. And then in the 1 second. So as we saying, then around in all the interested area to the simulation, I'm scattering. So these, I'm scattering some points and transferring over the normal from this curve based also on the instance. So if we are in the middle of the riverbed, second, let it load. Yeah, if we are in the middle of the riverbed, we are going to have a stronger normals. If we are on the side, it's going to be less and less. And then these are converted to a volume. Here you can see because it's negative, because but doesn't matter. Yeah, you can see it better. Yeah, the flowing. Let's look at the DOP network, how I did it. But there is nothing fancy inside. So I could stay all day speaking about all the parameters, but the concept is very simple. Uh, so collision geometry, here I'm sourcing the initial state for the fluid simulation. Here I'm creating some masks. Yeah, okay, so I'm here, I was masking the rocks. So around the rocks to have some extra curls. If you see, it's called the curl mask. So the flip sim is quite basic. Enable the vorticity, the rest, in case to add some extra details after sim. Even if now I've discovered some useful trick to do it without the rest. Particle separation, which is just to try to avoid the volume loss. And that's it. Also, surface extrapolation, I lowered this because otherwise it was getting too sticky at the borders or close to the bottom of it because they are velocity zero. So it's kind of dragging a bit too much the river. Same in stick and collision. This is just to have some extra control. So when it's very, very close to the rocks, it's going to stick more and creating some interesting swears around. Uh, then, yeah, I think I haven't done anything special. Vorticity enabled. That's it, to be honest. There isn't much to say about it. And then here, the turbulence, I'm using the masks that I have around the rocks to have some turbulence, confinement, to have extra swirls, and again some confinement. Here, the flip sim again. Okay, 1 year later, the time that it took to generate a mesh. So we have the mesh, and here I'm arraying it up if it's below the riverbed surface. Okay, so if it's below this, I'm arraying it up in order to avoid issues at render time. And then I'm caching the mesh, which I haven't done because I lost them, of course. Uh, then for the white water, let's get in. For this one, what I've done, so this is a fluid simulation. Everything is fed in this white water source, the standard one, but I'm creating also some additional extra sources points here. So here I'm calculating the gradient, the dot. Basically, I'm going to save some attributes on this surface, and then here I'm looking for the. Here I have the rocks that are in the middle, right? And if we are in the situation that we are like in this area, I'm going to generate some extra foam. This is just a mask, just to be safe. And I have two these, and I'm combining the two, which you can see, but because they're hidden. But this is the emit. The volume called emit is the one that is going to control the emission later on for the white water. This is what white water sim. I don't think that much matters. It's just noise. I increased the lifespan of the white water. These are not that relevant as parameter. Repellents, you can decide if you want them or not. I have some small ones with like very low frequency size, and that's it. So save it with white water. I have my own method usually to render the white water. It's not even this, because here I'm converting to volume, but what I usually do, I just render these as points. See if I have some caches, yeah. These as points and convert them to volume at render time with a shader I'm going to show to you later. I believe it's in the scene. And actually, it's the same shader that I'm using for the snow. It's quite cool. You just need to learn how to build it, but it's super useful. Uh, Also, the fog is what a lot of people asked me. Like, how did you do this cool fog on your project? It's just a box with the BDB from polygons, and everything happens in the shader. This is the river. Second, let me go this. Here it is. This is the fog shader, and what I did was go inside. I changed a little bit this scatter. I reduced the density to a very low amount because it's a very big box. It's like probably hundreds of units, and played with the shadows until I get a good color. At least it's not dark. Just need to pick this little bit of lighting. That's it. Speaking of lighting, I think the HDRI that you pick is very important in this kind of projects. If you want some realism or anyway, if you want some help, and also something which is useful when you have a lot of mist is you put a big light on top of everything, which helps a lot with the fog. Have an eye exposure, and usually, like if you want a direct light, a sunlight or something, you put no attenuation here, so it's a constant everywhere. But you put physically correct, you put some big area size, it's 15, 15, could have been even bigger, some edge fall off, and you get some nice lighting inside the fog or the mist or whatever you have. That's it. Let me see, for example, here, well, here I've built like the rock shaders, some variations of it. If you take the project from my Gumroad page, you can use whatever you want of these. It's like they're a bit convoluted because I have a lot of noises. Seems complex, but in reality, it's just you pick the noise, you make a noise as you want. But this should work pretty much. If you keep the standard scale of your rocks, should be pretty much good to go everywhere they are. And it's procedural because it's in world space. It's in rest position. This is the moss, the river, Levant, and this is the shader that I usually use for snow. I use it for the white water, and it works really great. Basically, it's I think it's similar to the new shader of the white water. I don't actually remember, but it's basically you have a volume. So basically, you apply these 2 points, right? You're saying to Mantra to convert it to a volume. You're layering on top of the PBR reflector, so you're going to have a volume with some reflection, and you're picking the normals from the points. You transform it to object space, from camera to object space, and you add this reflection. And one cool trick is that you place random normals on the points, and this is going to get you a lot of details on it. In order to make in order to make this work, you need to set the volume density to 10, volume sample to 5, uniform volume, and you're not going to have this node. You need to create it. Go here into render properties and look for these parameters. So this one is called, for example, volume density. So you go here, you take this and you drag it over there, and you do all of it for all these 3 parameters. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And something to remember, don't have the density attribute on the points. Otherwise, it's going to override this, and if it's set to 0, it's not going to work. This is something that took me a long time to remember. And yeah, this is just for the environment, but doesn't really matter in your case. And that's it actually. Okay, I wanted to show to you the new setup, but I don't have any more the renders. But anyway, it's not much going on over there. It's just breaking down the renders that are set up here, these 4 renders, and merging them on top of each other. First the geometry, the snow, the fog, and then the snow, extra snow on top. Or sorry, first the snow, extra snow, and then the fog on top. Here is everything already set up. Here is set volume with direct lighting, the how custom exports for the depth, the velocities, the normals, just to get better information for them. And that's it, but it's really nothing special. If you are a little bit skilled in comp, you're going to have no issues. Okay, that's it. Let me know if you want to see something specific next time, some other projects. I know probably this video is going to be very long, so thank you if you arrived to the end. And yeah, I was actually thinking to make some courses for free on YouTube, like how to become an FX artist, a professional FX artist. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if you have any ideas. I'm open to everything. Bye.